Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Just Another Kill Team podcast, connecting kill team communities across the globe. If you're passionate about the tactical skirmish game that brings together strategy, lore, and creativity, you are in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay updated with our latest episodes. If you want to support the show, check out our Patreon. Your support means a lot to us. Follow us by using the social media links in the podcast description for all the latest news, and be sure to leave a review to let us know what you think. Thanks for tuning in. Here's today's episode.
All right, and we're back with Mateusz of Poland, our on and off again Polish friend, playing Felgor in the past, or playing against Felgor in the past, and now you've been playing a little bit of RBDs, and, you know, tell us a little bit about what's been going on in Poland, you know, post data slate, post changes, and part of the reason why we brought you on this week is because there's been a couple team tournaments floating around in the U.S. and I saw, while me and Jason were doing the Patreon stat show, that Poland had a reasonably large team tournament fairly recently.
It took quite a while when somebody insulted me that I am playing Felgors, but okay, cool, nice start. We had quite decent masterclass tournament. A team tournament recently. Usually we are playing in teams of 3 with no duplicates, so it is normal WTC system with the reduced number of players to make it more possible, especially that this team tournament was the part of Poland where almost nobody is playing kill teams, so obviously we made a tournament there. It was a part of the bigger event, basically Hegemonalia, which is really, really big. So a little shout for them. And yeah, I was playing a little bit RBTs recently. The difference between Felgor play and RBT play is that, this is the truth. This is the first difference. The second one, it is not insulting me. So there are two main differences. So RBTs was a thing. Also on this tournament, I was playing RBTs in my team. This is also the thing.
Is one of the big reasons playing RBDs these days because of its context within the team tournament, or are you just like all around, like even in solo events and stuff like that, it's a solid team?
The content was that I really like them. I really like to play them, and there is RBT class coming, which came recently to Dark Time game, so I was like, I am the Lex. So I was taking them for fun, especially that my team was which was done prepared from the scratches, maybe because I was also the judge on this tournament, and one of the teams basically couldn't make it to go to the tournament, and we were not even. So I decided, okay, so we're trying to build like a last stand fun team to go and play and have like an even number of teams. So it was very funny team because it was me playing RBTs, which are definitively off the meta, which we can come into the moment. The captain was Marta Detlaf. She is pregnant now, so our team translating to English was the pregnant F word. And she was a captain. By the way, if somebody played Witcher 3, there is a Blood and Wine expansion, which is main antagonist is named Detlaf, and Detlaf is named from Marta, not otherwise, because Marta written him. So she's from CD Projekt Red. And the third was Grzegorz, who is total new player, total newbie. So it was pretty funny. And this is the reason. There is no like a big like mathematical anti-meta roach style play. I just was okay, I was not playing for 2 months and I just want to take fun. So I take an RBTs. But also I think they're a pretty decent team.
Yeah, they're a very unique team. I know we had, Tybalt from France come on and talk a little bit about RBDs a ways back and some of the strengths, basically, about how the subductors can really put a crimp on a lot of people's style. And I gotta say, in team settings, the off-meta teams probably have a little bit more play. Exaction Squad being one of those teams that can polarize a matchup probably works really well in a team setting. And, is that basically how it played out?
Yeah, a little bit yes, but it would be easier if this would be teams of 5. In teams of 3, it is harder to avoid what you really want to avoid, because big weakness of RBTs are basically elites, which are plenty now. Like Subductor is okay to like deal with hordes, elves. RBTs are basically designed to make elves angry. Like they are elf killer, so they are dealing pretty good with elves. They are doing pretty well with other mid ranges, with hordes. Problem are elites, but there are plenty. So this is their main weakness. But yeah, they are really fun to play. They have very unusual mechanic with the Aquila, so they are great about the controlling the field. They are great with the tying people up and not letting them away from themselves and not hitting even them and come on, fight me, I am fighting first, etc., etc. Really cool team, like pretty unconventional, and this is cool about it, I think.
Yeah, I gotta assume, also Goremongers would be in the pile of teams that is upset by fighting Exaction Squad.
Because they can get stuck really easily. It is like you just charge. I will block you rerolls of 1 just in case, because it is from equipment, and you will roll potato, and suddenly RBT is starting to killing you, not otherwise. Yeah. And for example, because I am mainly playing Inquisition, like everybody who knows me anyhow knows that I am main of Inquisition for years now. We can tell years, unfortunately. And RBTs in Inquisition are not so aggressive as RBTs, because in Inquisition you can take 2 subjectors, for example. In their own team, just in case, you can take 5, which one of them would be your leader, hitting on 3+ with lethal 5+. So it is starting to be a wall which is very hard to go through. For some teams, almost impossible, like if played correctly.
Yeah, because we just had someone on here last week talking a little bit about playing Exaction Squad on Inquisition from Germany, and he mentioned that he actually likes them there in a handful of matchups. So it's interesting to hear that, on Exaction Squad, it's definitely a team where you get the most power on their own squad, right? Because you got all the ploys that work along with the shields locking up your opponents in melee.
It depends, because Exactions are, as an attachment to Inquisition, is a sometimes way to go, because I agree with the guy, whoever he is, that it is solution for some problems, because Inquisition is basically a different team. But I'm just what I'm telling, that this aspect of being like a tar pit and playing completely different is shining like 3 times more in their own team, because they have more rerolls, because they are receiving ceaseless in melee almost always if you are playing that correctly, and there are more of them. They have Aquila, etc., etc. So,
and do you find that the Exaction Squad, fare better on Volcus or in the dark? Because I know, in the past, Volcus has been pretty good for them, and then in the dark it was also good because you could just chuck a Nuncio Aquila into the middle of the room and your opponent just can't get to it in reasonable time.
It very much depends on the matchup. Like, they are super dependent on the matchup and on the map, because what we cannot miss when we are talking about RBTs is their archetypes, which is seek and destroy and security. So basically 99% time you are playing security if you want to play competitively, because seek and destroy can work in some teams, but RBTs are in most matchups really on big disadvantage if they want to play seek and destroy, because they don't have such a big potential to trade like 2 for 1. It requires really big setup. It is hard to do. Plenty things can crash on dice, basically. And here comes the security. So there are maps on ITD which are basically making security. Depends also on your role, who is defender, who could choose the side. So there are maps which are super good in some matchups to play security, for example, to pretty easily covering the center line, central point, with getting crit up on the same time, like yada yada yada. It is super cool. But on the other hand, there are maps which is like pain in the ass to play security completely. Like it demands you to go into positions which you really don't want to go. There are plenty of maps where, for example, scoring that center line will require you to be like in the position of potential charge from every angle from elite team, some Marines, etc., which is like the last
rough.
place you want to be. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
center line on In the Dark sometimes is one box, and you
Yes.
stand across the line in the box, and then any
Exactly.
arbitrary number of Marines will just hit you.
Exactly. And on the other hand, what you will play instead of that, then controlling doors, the same situation, like they will just charge you and like make you a very sad person. And there is also contain. And I think that contain basically on very high competitive level, farther you go, it is the worse and worse. Like I do not agree that contain is like super good. There are maps which contain and matchups where contain can pay off, but it is really easy plenty of times to lose your game because you just choose contain. Like
So definitely more of a take round and a take center line security positioning at this point, because people know if you're playing security that you want to position a guy to like yeet into your corner, especially if you've like finished activating on a side, right?
Yeah. Like if you are, for example, coming back to contain, also like if somebody is over activating you, you never take contain. Never. Like the shittiest model will run into middle of your drop zone last activation. Bye. On really high competitive level, you probably lost the game because somebody scored 1 or 2 from TACOP this turn, and you scored 0. Like, and this is the end. You can grab your things and go for a beer, which is also a cool option, but you know.
Nothing wrong with grabbing a beer after a not so
Yeah,
sweaty
like-
game of Kill Team. You know, I'm sure this happens in the U.S. and I'm sure it happens in Poland too. Like, if you play your second round and you get destroyed by someone else, you're like, all right, what do we want to do now? I've lost my middle game and I don't care about winning the last game. I'm just gonna play and have fun. So some people grab a beer after that, right?
Yeah, I'm always also telling that tournaments are not only a competitive event, but it is like a party, like a celebration of having the same hobby. So this is cool for me. Of course, as long as it is not going rough.
Yeah.
If
Just
not
a
one
couple
beer,
beers, you know?
yeah, a couple, not 20, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the WTC coming up, and I'm sure that'll be a little bit more. I wasn't there last year, but I've heard that WTC can be a very intense environment and then a very chill environment after the tournament is done, just because people of all different regions are going to be in the same spot, kind of like the World Championships of Warhammer, where everyone is there to socialize after the tournament is done.
Yes, and I think this is quite a natural thing. In the end, WTC is the most prestigious tournament in the world. I know that you are from USA and people in USA like to lie to themselves about LVO, about WCW, etc. But no, like WTC is the first of the first, the king among the kings, and this is natural that when you are competing and especially you're representing not only yourself but also your community and country, emotions can come into the table, but after we are all friends, and I think Kill Team community is really chill out and cool, so I wouldn't tell that it is pretty any nasty place or anything like that. It is just this is like people care. People really
What
care.
I've heard is that it's a very intense environment. And we've been to the World Championships, all three of us, of Warhammer at this point, and it's an intense environment, but it's not that intense, There's a lot of different
is
skill
more.
levels. Yeah, WTC, because it's a little bit more concentrated and teams are being like drafted from their countries, tends to have a slightly more of an edge to it, I think.
And level of players is much higher. I can tell that I was here and there and not only once, and I can compare. And if you will ask anybody like, I don't know, Carlos, Ace from Spain, Dan from UK, or Bartek from UK, who is also Polish, but he is pretending that he is from UK, they will tell you the same, that WTC basically have, it is creme de la creme. Yes, like, if you want to meet the strongest players in the world, you have to go to WTC.
It's definitely one of the higher pressure environments, right? Just so for anyone who doesn't know what the WTC is, just because Kill Team tends to be a newer game, it's the World Team Championship, and that's 5-man teams. Under the 40K side, I think it's an 8-man teams tournament.
I think eight.
Yeah.
Plus bazillion of coaches, cooks, etc.
It's a very serious European centered tournament, just because that's where it started. I think there's the European team circuit that became the World Team circuit eventually, and now the Kill Team has a 5-man team tournament that is also up there.
And for Kill Team, there is also a solo tournament because Kill Team is much faster formula than 40K, so it is possible to create both tournaments. So it is funny. I think that the WTC naming for Kill Team is a little bit redundant, because exactly about that, it should be just named like a World Championship, but then the shortcut is pretty unfortunate because it is WC, so like not super good. But some other name to have basically highlight both on single and team formula.
Yeah, and the cool part about it is a 5-man team tournament. It's got an alternate scoring system in some respects, where it's about the delta between the two teams. So when you go to your matchup, you're not just playing for a win, you're playing for a large win. Because I think if you just win by a couple points, it actually counts as a draw on the actual scoring sheet, right?
Yeah. There are people who hate that and people who really like that. I think for team tournament it is pretty cool because it works as you are telling. As you said, it is about that delta, the difference, how big difference you are doing. So it is not only playing for a big win, but just in case it is playing for a small loss. And this is very important, that you can see that you are losing, and there is, for example, one move which can turn the table. Like, okay, there is 10% that I will win this game, but if it will not pay it off, I will lose that game like 20-0. But if I won't do that move, I will for sure lose this game, but for example 11-9, because my line won't break, I will score the necessary points, etc., etc. So for your team decision is usually to take that 11-9, unless of course everybody else lost, etc., etc. So,
and I think it creates this like cool space in the game, which I don't think single player like heads up play really has, because we've all had these games in Kill Team where the game feels really, really close, but you lose anyway. So it just at the end of the day, you're like, oh, you feel a little defeated. But in this specific kind of team scoring, it doesn't matter about the win or the loss so much as a delta. So if you can keep it tight and then you take a loss, you inside your mind, you've already you've gotten the thing of, oh, you know what? I still did a good job. And it helps spread that out a little bit, right? Because, when you play triples, I feel like in triples, you said this a second earlier, in triples, you don't really get the chance to spread the matchups up more than once, right? Everyone gets one pairing that they think they're going to do well in, and then the middle one is kind of a coin flip. But in fives, you can actually have 3 things that are covering a lot of matchups in a slightly different way and try to get an edge on the overall team format. Even though we've got I think by the time WTC comes around, we're going to have 40 some odd teams, right?
Yeah, it will happen in the very nasty position. So right before the first biggest rollout. So it will like the cognitive, like there is such a word in English, cognitive,
Cognitive load, cognitive load is going to be very, very high.
It is like, and I'm always telling that if somebody is telling that they know all the rules always and doing no mistakes in rules because they are so pro, they are cheating. This is not true. I catched myself for quite a lot of plenty of times that I'm basically not able to remember all of that all the time, especially that some if I am playing tournaments basically and I'm usually somewhere on the top spots, I am usually playing against meta or something close to meta. So if I am catching up like in the first round against somebody who is taking out things like Gallerpox, I don't know how they are working this edition. Like not at all. I like if you would ask me, I don't remember the rules. I don't even care. Like I don't never like this team, so I don't even feel a pressure to read the rules just for the sake of having fun because I don't like them. So like yeah, it will be pretty nasty. On that, I think.
I mean, one of those things as a good tournament player is when you get to a table, it is good to just flip through your opponent's rules and kind of look through them, right? Because I catch myself making mistakes even as a tournament organizer from time to time. But generally, the way I'm getting around that is I'm looking at my rules references pretty actively. So like when I make the ruling, I'll look at the actual rule as I'm making it. I'll do my memory first, read the rule, and if I'm wrong, I'll remind them.
Of course, everybody is making mistakes. We are just human beings, yeah. So like it really happens. Like too many things. So I'm waiting for this rollout. Of course, plenty of people will be unhappy. They will yell about making legacy, ignore GW, blah blah blah. I'm already seeing that your legacy leaks with thousands of people. Yeah, I already see that. Yes, we will talk about this fairy tale in 1 year. I know that I am skeptic now, but I am Polish. I have that in my genes. Like everybody is trying to smile, and I am just telling the truth. Nobody cares about legacy leaks.
I mean, and you know,
too small
for
hobby.
us, when we go to a tournament and play, it's like it is kind of nice. You know, it's gonna be kind of medium for anyone who's new and bought Corsairs, 3 months ago. But for the rest of us who've been playing for a while, it's like if you wanted to play Corsairs, truly, you would have played them by now. Like
And nobody is saying that is wrong. If you want to play your Corsairs till the end of edition, just do. If you want to do local tournament with everything all out, because a bunch of your friends who will be also on this tournament have those teams, cool, do. I'm in your team, but do not accept to both from GW and from competitive players to support idea of playing really competitive events like WTC with the 60 teams with active rules, and from the creator of the game to balance such a mess. Every team, every operative have an potential interaction with every other rule from every other team. Like it is like geometrically rising with every team. So like think about that. It is impossible to balance that. It is necessary evil. The alternative is power creep, basically. Like sorry, but this is what it is.
I mean, to be fair, there is always a little bit of power creep, but I think when you cull some old ideas, you actually create room for, some new ideas in that same design space. Because, as much as we love our Death Core, as a functional team, maybe we can have a different horde human side that can be interesting.
Yeah, like Katachans or like Elysia, any other regiments, like with.
Yeah, and we could get new sculpts, right? I think that's the other thing. Is like if we cycle some stuff out and it becomes part of the 40k range, at least for Kill Team, we're always getting new stuff. And I don't know how's Poland felt about the overall edition, like the Volkas teams.
We are always complaining, so I'm ignoring that. Like this is like. Where there are 2 poles, there are 3 points of mind and one big conflict always, and they have 3 points of view just in case that by accident they are starting to agreeing on something. So somebody can grab this third point of view just to disagree again. So I'm ignoring that. There was a moment of big frustration, but on the other hand, I was positively surprised because it ran off pretty rapidly. Like most of the community, I think, understood why it is necessary, especially that we as a drop zone also put some weight on explaining to people why it should be like that and why we think the National League should be following, because we are managing National League, following these rules and rollout, why it is necessary, what are the alternatives. So in the end, it was pretty positive. But I know that there are like quite big communities around the world which are not accepting that openly. It is what it is. People are allowed to think what they want. Like, I think
Yeah.
it will die out naturally. So
Yeah, we'll see. You know, if they land the ship in October or November, whenever that shift is, because we actually don't know where the actual deadline is. Whenever that ship lands, we'll see if they do a single balanced data slate with some of those old teams. You know, more or less removes the biggest point of contention. And I think the focus is on the new stuff that's coming out. Like this edition has been pretty solid. Like the last 4 boxes have been pretty cool. You know, Battleclade and Typhon, completely new design space. They do not play like anything else, and neither at the moment feels particularly overpowered. I'm curious how Poland has been receiving the Battleclade and Typhon changes.
like about Tyranids, maybe. Like I agree with your point that both of these teams have like super duper new mechanics which are sexy. I like to use that description of things when I like it. They are sexy, yeah, because that doing the tunnel spreading and converting your APLs to some other actions on different operatives. Those are the things which we have not seen in this form, or especially this form, like nowhere else. And this is super cool. What I don't like about Tyranids now is only the fact that on some maps they can be super oppressive against some teams, like because they are starting to come out of the tunnel right next to your drop zone. And this is the line which I am not supporting. Like, your drop zone should be your safe zone unless somebody came through the half of the board and fight his way to your drop zone. He collapsed your line, then it is okay, but not just going, oh, bazinga, I am here, yeah, and suddenly you have 20 wounds, big buck in your drop zone. And there are teams who cannot do anything about that. Like on some maps, there are maps where this mechanic is like super less powerful than that, and this is also another problem, in my opinion, that there are maps which you are basically overpowered. There are maps which you are under the bar. Yeah. So, but in the end, I think both teams are cool. They both have potential. Like the clicking objective from the AdMech, clicking objective while you are not standing on that objective is the break of the paradigm, basically, of the very core rules. But on the other hand, it is nothing which is super broken. It can be countered very easily just by, putting your operatives on that point, etc., etc. But still, it is something super cool. Those are the rules which are new, which we have never seen. Unfortunately, one of the teams is playing Beacon. But this is the problem of the beacon, not of the team.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sure that Poland is at this point kind of gotten tired of the approved ops, current TAC op spread, much like the rest. Yeah, much like the rest of the community has, I think. Because at this point, we all kind of know that recon is good, and we all know security is good. We all know infiltration is bad for the most part. With the asterisk that used to be there, where mandrakes lived by themselves on the top of Vulcus, holding up infiltration, and then Seek and Destroy is fine.
I don't know. I think I don't agree. In most cases, Seek and Destroy, in my opinion, is the weakest one. At least on pair with the infiltration. Definitively, Recon is overpowered. Like till this day, I don't understand why confirm kill is not seek and destroy. It is like a seek and destroy objective who gone on the trip on holidays to Recon and stayed there, like, because everybody forgot. Yeah. So this would make seek and destroy pretty good archetype in my opinion. Of course, there are teams who can play seek and destroy with the storm objective pretty easily, like elites, etc., etc. Of course, but still, security seconds, recon first, like seek and destroy and filtration on pair, I think. But yeah, everybody are tired about that, and I am usually playing beacons, and I hate it. Like, but what can I do? Like,
It's too good. You gotta do it.
If you if you are playing teams like when I am playing Inquisition, which is basically a horde team, what should I do? Should I hold the door against Space Marine on ITD? Like, let's be honest. Like, this is ridiculous. Of course, I am forced to play Beacon, like, and run from them. Like, what can I do?
Yeah, it's still a remaining problem for the Horde teams. It's gotten a little better, I think, over the addition. Is there's plans around some of the Astartes. You know, you are just waiting to the middle of turn 2 to play like it's old turn 1, I guess.
There are counters for elites, but I'm not a fan of elites. I never was. But this is the problem of designing elites. I'm not blaming the reality because it is what it is. Like, problem with designing elites, in my opinion, is that you have to put so much power in only 5-6 bodies that it is very hard to balance that. Because if you will take a drop out of that bucket with power, it can be completely useless. But if you will put back this drop and another one, so 2 back in the same bucket, suddenly it is broken. It is like a horrible task to balance it out. But I don't want elites to reach the point from the last edition where, like, on WTC, there was 1, maybe 2 elites team on the whole tournament. So this is not the point of, like, it. Like, the main poster boys are Space Marines.
It's better for the game if Space Marines are at least playable at an upper or like a mid-table level.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. There are poster boys. People like them because of any reasons which I do not understand. Because as we know, the true heroes of the galaxy are the Imperial Guard. But it is what it is. People like them. Let their toys work. It is fine, and I'm supporting that, even if I hate it.
Hey everybody, here doing our own little personal ad read for our respective tournaments. The New York Open, October 18-19, one of the last golden tickets before the actual World Championships of Warhammer. And Jason's got the Renegade Open.
Renegade Open hopping in right after that, which is going to be maybe the first golden ticket event for the 2026 season in just outside of Minneapolis, pretty close to the airport, November 22 and 23 with a golden ticket.
Yeah, tickets are up on sale now at ny-open.com, and Renegade Open, you'll get tickets up when you get them up. And links will be in the show notes when it comes up.
Hope to see you there.
And, the most important thing about, going all the way back to how we were talking about team tournaments earlier, now when you build out teams, you can have those Marines that are like the brick wall in your team that you send up on those matchups. Where in last edition, we just really did not have that ability at all because they would just die to everything.
Yeah, and now they are the gatekeeper. Like, when you are building the team, like, I will not sell anything from knowledge of my team if I will tell something completely obvious to everybody, that the first question when you are choosing the team for WTC is, okay, how I will deal with Elite, how I will deal with Nemesis Claw, how I will deal with Legionaries, Warp Coven especially, because I think Warp Coven is still tremendously broken, even if stats not showing that.
Yeah, the stats don't. I mean, I've said that too. So, and I think this last week on the stats, the Warp Coven did pretty good.
But stats in Kill Team are worthless. I've mentioned that bazillion of time. Everybody and I am data guy, like, just say from my professional work, and everybody who works with the data, especially with the statistics and big data, knows that the data of Kill Team are worthless, and worthless is the biggest word. There are things which you can, okay, maybe not worthless, like a little worth.
They're useful in some things, but
In
if the
some
sample
things,
size
yeah.
is small, you can't really take all that much from it.
Yes, like for example, we checked out of curiosity why the Broad Brothers score is so high now. And not now, but like month ago, something like that. I don't remember. It was because the second best player in Poland was taking them for every tournament because he really liked them. And like how, like 30% of those wins was his own. So one player can impact the win score so heavily that you are just watching that and okay, we shouldn't believe that in any form. Like,
Yeah.
it is what
I
it
mean,
is.
look, Brood Brothers, definitely a cool team. They have not really maintained that high bar. Higher Tech Circle also, they were very good for a couple weeks, and then this last week they came crashing down. Definitely a
Hate
little bit of a pilot
Necrons.
thing, and
Hate
probably some
Necrons. Hate
adaptation.
Necrons. Hate Necrons.
Are they
Necrons.
popular in Poland right now?
Yes, and every time when Necrons are popular, I am a sad panda. There are two teams which are my arch enemies in this system, and this is Necrons and Warp Coven. Both of them are giving me PTSD, basically. I remember Warp Coven and Necrons from the beginning of this edition, and the Necrons before the last nerf of the last edition. And it was the situation that you have to put, if you are not playing one of them, you are usually forced to play like 3 times better than your opponent to win with them, because they are going on the freaking wheelchair to the tournament. And when you have to run, they have a motor in their wheelchair and they are going like the 40 miles per hour with the electric device, and they are cheating. So no, I hate them. Sorry, Necron players out there, but I think this team should be, I don't know if redesigned. The problem, there is another team. They are again elite team. This is really problematic to
They're an
design
elite
them
team with a teleport, and they have
Yeah.
a big skin heal, so they're a little bit harder. And the funniest thing about anyone who at one point thought that Necrons were going to be dead after that first nerf after Worlds is that the Chronomancer was basically unchanged the whole way
Yes,
through
and he was
until
broken from the
now
start.
when they became good again. And I was thinking at the time, I was like, I'm pretty sure the Chronomancer could probably do something too. It's just nobody wanted to play it.
Like when in the game which is named Kill Team, teams which are not dying are usually good. So and this is what happens when you are playing against Necrons. And with Warp Coven also, it is of course super plenty times better than at the release, because at the release there was a like disgusting. And
Yeah. Warp Coven were
uh,
insane on release.
yeah, not only Warp Coven, Inquisition also, Legionaries, but Warp Coven were utterly broken, like brokenness of brokenness, like top level. And they are still broken. Like, sorry, they are still broken. Like, dice and teleporting back on elite teams, which can take 9 activations just in case, which can play recon if they want. Like, come on, like.
And not only that, they still have a heal. The same reason why
Yes.
Plague Marines are so good into so many matchups is that they're an elite team that has a heal backing up their injury bubble, so they're just very hard to break.
I don't believe that the Plague Marines are so good, but our meta is also different. Our meta,
I would just say that Plague Marines are one of those very polarizing elite matchups, right? Because there's a couple teams that want to get into melee, and Plague Marines are very good at running around and being in melee.
Like try to beat Plague Marines as RBT. Like, good luck and have fun. Yeah, you have to strike him with your power maul like approximately 100 times to make him finally die. So yeah. It can be. There are those matchups. Yeah, polarization is very big here. Agree, but still there are plenty of teams which can pretty easily counter them. I think. Like, I have absolutely, besides some ITD maps, of course, on some missions, like zero problems with, for example, Inquisition. Like Kasserkin Melta just goes brrr, like, and this is like
Takes a shot and then runs away.
Yeah, I am trying to
can just
deny
look the worst
you
thing.
hitting on freeze. Your freeze. Oh nope. Like so,
That's
there
true,
are things which can like, and they are too slow. Basically, they are also too slow. Like how you can catch up with the team which is playing Beacon if you cannot physically catch up with them. Like they are always too fast. Like
Yeah, I mean, Plague Marines, as good as they are, have lots of weird matchups, you know, where they get outmaneuvered because 5-inch move definitely hurts them a lot, and there's only 6 of them, so they can only be so many places, and they do go down eventually, and especially if they put the wizard out and the wizard gets dunked.
yeah, I guess that they are in this weird position that this is a very good team averagely, but this is not a team with a potential of winning really big tournament. This is how I would name it. That they will, for example, with 7 matches, 7 rounds, they will have that 1-2 matches when they will meet something which have easy answers against them, or they will play on Volkus on the bet map and they are screwed. This is how I would judge them.
Yeah. So, what teams do you think, you know, with your Polish data experience, looking across the meta, what teams do you think are doing pretty well in the current meta? Because me and Jason on our week-to-week set show, we've been talking about how the meta has looked pretty good, I think, week to week. You know, there's a couple teams that are trapped in the doldrums, like Kasserkin and Vespid. But a lot of teams actually feel mostly playable. You know, if you want to just go and play, like, it seems like a pretty good time.
It is hard to answer this question to not sell out some information which I should not sell out. But in general, I can answer generally, and in general, I am agreeing with you. There are unfortunately still teams which are very unhealthy to the meta because they are gatekeeping so heavily. This is exactly the for example, Warp Coven. Yes, like what if Warp Coven is played correctly, it is the strongest team in the game,
It's a
in my
nightmare.
opinion. Still,
You
and
got
this is a
2 rosary
nightmare.
effects a turn. You've got piercing bolters. You've got
Teleport,
ammo
you have
monkey. You got mission monkeys. You've got 3 heroes. They heal. They teleport. They
flamers
slice. They
with
dice.
piercing. Flamers with piercing, just in case, like if you would be not so strong. Funny dice, like, oh, I killed you. No, this is not free. It is 1. Suddenly, yeah. There are also sanctifiers. There are like 50% of teams which can do nothing about them. I was playing with my RBTs against sanctifiers, and it was like my power maul is turning to the wet noodle, and he's like, "Oh, come on, go to the ground, surrender."
As
Suddenly you are
the
not.
wet pool noodle hits him across the face.
Yeah, exactly.
And then a dude with a staff in the back heals him. You're like, no, please die.
Please die someday. Yeah.
As a little baby cherub flies by, gives an APL to someone else, and then he gets yeeted across the field.
Yeah, and this is funny because in theory, RBTs are not so bad matchup. Sanctifiers are not so bad against RBTs, but you know, they have so many rerolls, so many damage ignoring mechanic that basically 2 bad rolls from your side, 2 good rolls from other side, and you will not go through basically. And there are things like that.
It's an interesting thing to dig into on the Sanctifier's Exaction squad because it is one of those on paper matchups that looks pretty reasonable for a team, right? And then in application, the Sanctifier damage mitigation just means that all of your 4/4 damage just
it's
never.
Free.
Yeah, just never quite does the job against your opponent.
You are killing never basically in one go. Basically never. With just a scratch and ability to turn crit to normal to just a scratch just in case, and like. This is what it is. This is my issue with the current edition. That because there are plenty of mechanics which, as you told, are super interesting, and this is good that we have interesting mechanic because I think that at the end of the last edition we reached the point that the mechanics of the new teams were usually other teams' mechanics with some tweaks. No big changes. Like there were big things like about Brood Brothers who had some tweaks, like, but Besides that, like, what was special about scouts? Like, what was special about I
And the
don't in the end
Archon.
even that like Hand of the Archon. Like, what was
I guess
special
Hand
about
of the
that?
Archon and Hernkin Jaeger kind of they didn't play the same, but their broad mechanics kind of reminded me of each other in that they were getting like bonus
Which is
APL.
which is also again covering my point. This is what I am telling, yeah. And now we are getting the very interesting mechanic, which is cool, but there is a cost of that. That like those mechanics sometimes are basically gatekeeping like half of the meta. And on the other hand, there are situations where the same mechanics are completely useless against some other teams. There is no mechanic like that, but like for example, let's think about team which is based on Blood Brothers have that, taking away APL at demand, like from the Magus. And killing 8 wounded models on demand. So in theory, he should be super good into RBTs. Guess what? He is not, because RBTs have an equipment which is a unique equipment which is ignoring APL changes, and the whole point is worthless. Like so, which is cool. And I'm not saying that to take away that from RBTs, because they don't need taking that away, and it is like very mild, really mild, really mild example of what we are meeting. But like Tyranids with coming out from the tunnel, like imagine playing on the long edges on the some ITD map which have your natural point very close as a Tau against Tyranids. Like there are maps when the Tau will nuke them because they will be able to put that highlights on them and shoot them to the death. They have only 5+ saves, yada yada yada. That's for sure. But they will be maps when they will just run into your little fish and stay there forever, and you can do absolutely zero, nothing about that, because you won't kill them in this one shooting where you can shoot into the combat, because they have too many wounds. So they will charge, kill one, stack with another, kill another one, charge, kill another one, stack with another, your line is broken, etc., etc. And I'm not claiming that this is happening every game at all, but I'm just not a fan of this kind of situations, like that. I'm a competitive player in the end, and I want, when I'm winning a game, this is because of me, and when I'm losing the game, this is because of me and my opponent. He played better, not because he had a cheeky mechanic which is countering my cheeky mechanics. So, but this is like an open,
This is like
very
a
long discussion.
broader game philosophy design kind of thing, and I think at the very least, I'm happy with the design space for the 8 teams we've gotten in this edition, because they are all pretty unique. You know, Rekkas were a nice take on the orcs in that they feel like orcs. You know, chucking a billion missiles at your opponent is fun. You know,
I'm always loving, and this is like, in my opinion, this is like Magnus Opus, the description of ability of Squeak. Like roll 1d6 or 2 if you want. Like, so
if you really want him to explode, you can make him explode. Go for it, man.
Yeah, this is so orky. And just to say something, what I really like about design of this edition is the courage. Like that there is a courage for doing this very unorthodox mechanics. This is one thing. And the second thing is to rebalance heavily. And I think this is because of the online rules which are there, so they can make bigger changes in one data slate. For example, the first data slate, which came this edition, was tremendous. It touched like 20 teams at once, something like that.
Yeah, it was like the kneecapping of Warp Coven theoretically, although I don't really know if they were kneecapped that bad. But you know, they removed a bunch of things after World Championships. They made a lot of sweeping changes, and it's good. I think it's a really nice part of this part of Kill Team and why it's so much cooler to get people into the game, even with, you know, the oncoming classification stuff that's coming in. It's so much easier to tell someone like, hey man, just buy this team and you can play the game. Like buy the core rulebook and a box, and that's all you need to do. You can just play.
Yeah, I love the answer of because on our local Facebook group, there was again a small post with the pain about rollout, and some guy just commented with the simple question there. Okay, but what because I am new to Kill Team, what does this mean to the player, the new player? Explain it in simple words. And somebody replied him simply, it means that once per 4 years you will have to buy one box if you want to play on some tournament. And, and this is the whole rage reason. This is the best answer. Like
I think there are people who come in now and they're like, I really want to play deathcore, and it's gonna suck that they go away. I'm like, that's true.
yes. Yes,
That is true. But you know what? The best part about that box is you could just buy it on the 40K side and then play it anyways. Like, it's just not branded Kill Team anymore.
You can build your dev corps as a Broad Brothers. Like there is so big potential of the conversion. Like I'm never using my dev corps because as an Imperial Guard fan, I hate dev corps. Yeah, I'm that like a unicorn.
You want the Cadians and nothing else, huh?
Nah, not only there are cooler regiments, but Cadians are okay, and basically my Broad Brothers are Cadians. Yeah, they're Arcadians. So
yeah, they're winking non-Cadians.
no, they are Cadians. They are Cadians. Accept that, okay?
Just with an extra arm or two, no big deal.
Extra limbs.
Although, it'd be kind of funny if you just do your Arbites as also, Gene Stealer Cult, wink, wink, nod, nods, and then your Inquisition.
There is so big potential of conversion in Kill Team. This is the coolest, even the modeling part of this hobby. Like I converted Croods to Imperial Guard because I wanted. So like imagine doing that with the big 40K army where you have 200 of them. Not 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Like never
look,
gonna
there are people that do it. There are some crazy people.
Yeah, of course. But I am talking about remotely normal people. I wouldn't call myself normal, but remotely normal, like not at all. Never gonna happen.
I mean, look, when Poland came out to the World Championships, you guys definitely have nicely painted models. Always looks cool. I know a couple dudes who get models painted in Poland, and the Polish artists are really nice. So I'm sure Kill Team is a beautiful, beautiful canvas for your community.
I'm Polish. I don't know what beauty means. No, I know because Polish women are extremely beauty. Okay, so I know. But okay, this is fair. Our painting studios, they are quite popular among the world, and they are pretty good. This is true, and we have people who are like top tier artists also here about painting. We have Contrast event, which is also multinational. So yeah. Our Kill Teams plenty of times looking good. But I wouldn't go too far. Like, believe me, our events are full of the normal shit, which I am witnessing all around the world.
Classic Warhammer tournament vibe of you see a bunch of dudes where they've got two-tone Zenithals and that's all they got, and then a base coat on their base of what looks like gravel.
Yeah. There are situations like that, and this is pretty normal. So I wouldn't exceed the topic that we have beautiful scene.
But for the WTC, the Polish team, I assume you guys are going to come with nice looking models.
At least one of us. This is how I will answer. There will be 3 Polish teams in the end, so somebody out of them probably will. From Polish representation, so I would fight 5 of us. At least one will for sure have beautifully painted models. Michał Żywczyk, that's for sure. And this is where my being sure ends. Like probably myself also, because I have my if I will be playing Inquisition, because we don't know, maybe Data Slate will come and change it. But if I will go with the
We've got a month before the data slate. I mean, if there is going to be a WTC timed data slate, I don't think there should be, just because the last one was, a month ago. So there's probably
no. It was farther away. farther away.
Man, has it been that long, man? Time really
Yeah,
flies when you're having fun, right?
it is already July starting. So in theory, we can receive the data slate even tomorrow. So it wasn't a month ago. Like no,
Right, because
no.
we had the errata, which was in June, and that one is more of an update rather than like a rebalancing deal.
But we received this errata like week ago, and errata usually is coming close to the rebalance. So usually, so I wouldn't be surprised if this rebalance will come coming week. I wouldn't be surprised if it will be coming at the end of the month. But completely honestly, I think it will come this month, or in the worst case scenario, beginning of the next. Like I really don't know, but this is what I'm guessing, and this is how the timings are. Because after the championships, because there was that tremendous delay, like about the data slate after championships, the rebalance came in the January, if I remember correctly, or
I think the
beginning of the
first one was
February.
January. The next one I'm looking at it is end of April, and then we just had the
So
June errata. So it is possible. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right. End of this month is
this is what
still
I'm
in
telling.
range.
Yeah. This is
And then
this
all
is
the
why I'm telling.
WTC teams are gonna have to quickly repaint.
Yes, this is exactly what I'm telling. If we are going 3 months by 3 months, and in theory, this is why what GW is officially telling us that they are following that. This is the month which we are, and the beginning of this month is the timing when we should receive a rebalance.
Yeah, and this would be, the theoretical thing where the Sanctifiers get their second bop on the head. So we'll see. And then WTC really is like a whole different ballgame because people definitely have to plan around like the Sanctifiers right now at these team tournaments, right?
Yeah. But for example, we had that team meeting last week, and we are still only testing things which we think won't be hit heavily, because Sanctifiers, for example, in our opinion, will for sure be nerfed now. I cannot imagine the situation that they won't be nerfed. And as I said, I am assuming that the nerf is this rebalance is coming like next weeks. So there will be
This is very
plenty
possible.
tweaking. Yeah.
Of
It
of
should
the
be like
teams
that.
that haven't been touched in a while, Blooded are one of those teams where there's like one dude in the Pacific Northwest that plays them and likes them and does well with them very regularly, and they haven't been touched, so they could get buffed, and that would be kind of cool before
Yes,
classification.
like suddenly Blooded, which are I like Blooded as a team design, like the melee Imperial Guard with Ogrin, super cool.
Yeah, there's not enough big guy, small guy teams in the design
Yes,
space.
like I hate that the Tyranids come like an elite team. I would love that they have like a 3 big bags which you are choosing from, and a bunch of little dudes. Like this is why I also like Brood Brothers so much, that you have one big guy or bigger at least, and the other who
Pretty
are
big.
normies. There is also another team which I love to see buffed, and I like Navy Breachers. Like they are so sad team this edition, like so sad. There is
one of the biggest fall from graces of any teams in all of Kill
like
Team.
this is the one thing, but in my opinion, they were never super interesting team. They were pretty like stable, boring team, at least strong. And I think that opportunity for them was wasted to make them suddenly interesting. There was an approach to make them more interesting with this mechanic that you can bring more bodies on the field with using actually the mechanical animals, the cat and the skull.
Yeah, you could have
But still,
13.
and suddenly you have some specialists on the field which are doing something special. Like last edition, you were taking the skull specialist without the skull. Like this was so freaking sad. Like, and half of the more interesting mechanic of your comms were off also because you were not taking cat usually. So it was the step into right direction, but the execution was not enough in my opinion, and it can be fixed, and I really hope that I would be delighted if we will see Navy Breachers or WTC. Like it would be like super cool to think. if I will think about that now, it will be super cool.
Hopefully there is a team from Mexico, because we had the one guy who went to Worlds who only plays Imperial Navy Breachers. He showed
Yes,
up in
I
New York
remember.
a couple months
remember.
ago, and he also brought his Breachers to play a game. I was like, you know what, makes sense.
He lost every game, but he was a star. Yeah.
The best part about the World Championships was the guy in narrative who was playing Imperial Navy Breachers also lost all of his games. So collectively, the two players lost, I think, like 17 games over the whole weekend. It's great. But it just, they are a team that, for as good as they were at one point, they're not playable right now just because all the other teams have adapted around them and their core ability is just not really that important. And it turns out losing that wound was a huge part of their faction identity.
But not only, but losing that wound, like, I think that the free shotguns are also basically redundant. Like, in the world of so many teams which have, like, as a base weapon things which are hitting at least 4-4, suddenly you have a team which is hitting 3-3 and everybody is laughing. It is like entering the room, Navy coming to the party, and everybody on the party, oh, look, this is the guy who is hitting 3-3 on the shotgun. What's a pussy? They don't even, they have their shotgun from Temu, some things like that. So,
like, if forgot to pick up the RBD shotgun at the armory.
But not only RBTs are having 4-4 shotguns. This is the problem, that suddenly 3-3 profile of the shotgun is the least popular, not the main one. Like, you have 4-4 in Brother Brothers.
That's true, because they stole literally the RBD shotgun from the Exaction squad.
And Scouts also.
And Scouts, yeah. And it used to be at the beginning of the edition, shotguns were 4-on-3s, 3-3, and then as the edition went on, it became less
this
of
is
that.
Redundant. This is redundant weapon basically in this profile. I think they should get back their 8 wound, for example, and move their shotguns to 4-4, and suddenly they will play. I'm just guessing now. I was never thinking about that, like, really heavily, but what you can do with 3-3 shotgun in the words of 20 wound tyrannies.
And, just the real problem is that they used to hunt on all the other mid-sized teams and all the other horde teams just with their more wounds and the ability to mix it up in melee. But now we change over the edition and it's just a brick wall of 14 wound, 3-up saves. And now those 3-3 weapons, it's like, I don't know, you're going to have to take like 3 shots before you kill a single Starties on a medium day.
Yes, like, if you are lucky.
If you're lucky. And those Astartes will casually walk up to you, dueler you out, and then break you in half, and then shoot someone else.
Like, they will just roll 3 freeze out of 5 dice, and you are dead always. You can do nothing about that.
Yeah, it's definitely a sad team just because their faction identity and their ability is still so cool, except none of the combos of using the 2 operatives really doing anything all that interesting right now, because none of your profiles is that interesting. So all of your ploys are like, oh, you get a bunch of rerolls on 3-3 shots or 4-6 power swords, but you got 7 wounds and you died everything with 4-5 damage.
It was cool and was interesting in the time when it was released, but today we are in the future, and in future there should be standards, and they are not meeting those standards at all. Like, as you said on the beginning, 3-3 on shotgun was pretty baseline, but also there was plenty of teams which were struggling against those weapons. And now, like, nobody who is struggling about 3-3, like, nobody, unless it is a flamer on 2+, not a 3+.
That's true. And now the flamers are all 4-4 too, which also makes the shotguns on the breachers look that much worse.
Not all flamers. Like, normal flamers for Imperial Guard are 3-3. Like, but
that's true. Enough of them do 4-4 where they're like indistinguishable from.
Just in case Warp Coven have 4-4 but with piercing, so just in case it would be too hard to play with them. So, like, you have to have really big brain, like, to play in Warp Coven. It is so hard. Oh, somebody charged me. but I replaced his dice with the shit dice, and then I healed myself to full. Then I teleport out and healed him with my flamer with piercing because I can. I'm so pro. Yeah, super hard team, really respectful.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the Polish Warp Coven team.
I have my
WTC.
I have my Warp Coven player with my team. So if
Damn,
Warp
look,
Coven won't be nerfed, I think
you got to have one, right? Like you got to have.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go to these big team tournaments with all the stakes, there's you don't turn your nose up at the obviously powerful teams, right?
Yes, and this is something why I'm telling that, like, because this is not a mystery to anybody who counts. Like everybody knows that if the Warp Coven won't be nerfed, every team which want to compete for top 3 will have Warp Coven. This is what it is. There's no mystery about that.
Anything else that you wanted to check in on, Jason, while we're here with Mateusz before we head off for the day?
I'm kind of just along for the ride today. It's been a fun one.
Any other tournaments or shout-outs that you want to do, Mateusz, before you head out for the night?
Not really, because we are now in the season of the summer, so there will be only local tournaments, no masters here, and only preparations for WTC Bengals. And about our preparation to WTC, I cannot tell anything.
We'll have you on in a month and a half, and we could talk a little about the prep, depending on how WCW goes or WTC. Yeah. Oh my God, so many W acronyms. Killing me
WW, BMW. Yeah.
All right, Mateusz, thanks for hopping on, talking about Exaction Squad, Inquisition Agents, Warp Coven, just basically a little bit of everything at this point.
Sampler platter.
As always, yeah.
The team tournament.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And as always, thank you, listeners, for listening until the end.